Yo, what's going on YouTube? Wook here, and welcome to the channel. Today I'll be ranking Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's base game tracks music. So that means only the first 48 tracks and only their music. No DLC. We'll save that for another video. Now let's get right into it. This track's music fits perfectly as the opening song we hear as we start our first race. The orchestration is incredible, and even when listening to the song while not racing, you can still hear the fireworks and all the celebration. With that being said, I give it an 8 out of 10, falling into the A tier. They really nailed it with making the music feel like you're actually at an amusement park. The instrumentation is very nice, especially that Latin bass line, though it doesn't really stick out to me compared to other tracks' music. So I give this one a 5 out of 10, putting it in the C tier. Similar to Water Park, the music really makes you feel like you're in a Candyland with fun instruments being played, but the melody doesn't really stick out, so I'll have to also give this one a 5 out of 10, going in the C tier. Man, did I almost want to put this track's music into a bottom tier, but after that amazing flute part, or maybe a piccolo part that comes in, it just blows me out of the water. The overall orchestration really fits the whole ruins and exploration vibes of the track, and the more I listened to this song in detail, the more I fell in love with it. I give this one a 9 out of 10, putting it into a high A tier. This music and Mario Kart Stadium music shared similar ideas and sounds, but for some reason this one just didn't really stick out to me, as much as Stadium's music did. Plus, I think a lot of other circuit tracks from past games had a better musical direction than this one. I give this one a solid 6 out of 10, putting it in the B tier. This is a top tier track for me in Deluxe, so I would hope it would have some decent music, and boy was I right. They really did a great job of catching that San Francisco feel while still giving it a form of island vibes. The rhythms and instruments really make me feel like I'm cruising on a nice sunny day. With all these positive vibes, I give this one an 8 out of 10, slotting in the A tier. The track that should have been a new Luigi's Mansion course. The music does what it needs to do, and it gives off perfect Haunted Mansion vibes, but it doesn't do much other than that. It's more of a true background music than really popping out to me and making me want to dance in my seat. So with all that, I give this one a 4 out of 10, placing it into a low C tier. Another absolute banger on par with Thwomp Ruins. The instruments, the melody, the rhythms, it's just incredible. I love driving up that waterfall while the music just goes super hard in the background. I had to give this one a 9 out of 10, putting it into a very high A tier. Man, the Star Cup is full of amazing music. Sunshine Airport's theme really makes you feel like you're in a plane soaring high. The violins sound great, the melody is fulfilling, and I even recorded the song back in my early college days. Unfortunately, I no longer have the files, but with that being said, it's one of my favorite Deluxe songs, so I have to give this one a 10 out of 10, being our first track in the S tier. Do I really need to explain myself with this one? It's absolutely incredible, and the saxophone player is just a beast. Plus, during his solo, he invented something that is known by tons of other musicians as the Mario Kart lick. This song literally became famous of how gosh darn good it is. So you already know this one is getting a 10 out of 10 and joining Airport in the S tier. Now unfortunately, this is one piece of music from the Star Cup that I think falls a little bit short. It does do an amazing job at making you feel like you're bumping in it in the club, but the melody and overall orchestration just doesn't stick out to me compared to other tracks in this cup, so I have to put this one at an 8 out of 10, placing it in the A tier. The first track we see in Deluxe that has multiple sections instead of just the usual 3 laps, and each section has its own music that flows and blends so nicely. I really love this track's music, so I even arranged it for a big band jazz band, and man, it's killer. The violin and guitar playing the melody and soloing as you race down a snowy mountain is just freaking incredible. And I had to give this one a 10 out of 10, slotting it in the S tier. Another absolute amazing soundtrack. The orchestration is on par with Super Mario Galaxy, and I mean, how couldn't it be? It has the Gusty Garden Galaxy theme right in the music. It's literally perfect. And I had to also give this one a solid 10 out of 10, putting it in the S tier with all the other bangers. A track similar to Twisted Mansion, where it really becomes true background music and the melody doesn't really stick out to me. I love the instruments they use to capture that Dunes feel, but in the end I have to give this one a 4 out of 10, placing it in low C tier. Gosh, do I really love this music. The rock and roll on top of a horn section is genius, and I could perfectly hear Bowser's laugh while listening to the music. Though its orchestration is not as complex as like Shy Guy Falls, so this one will be getting an 8 out of 10, putting it in the A tier. This is the first Rainbow Road music where I really don't think of Rainbow Road. Of course it nailed the space station theme it was going for, but besides that, it really doesn't progress in the happy upbeat feel I get from other Rainbow Roads. This is the first one I'm going to rank low, giving it a 3 out of 10, going in the D tier. The Egg Cup also consists of some killer music. Yoshi Circuit has one of my favorite melodies, and I probably hum it to myself every now and again. I love the revamp it got in Deluxe, and the live instruments make it sound so much fun to play. I can easily give this one an 8 out of 10, putting it in the A tier. Now we get to the track that most people hate to play, and honestly, the music doesn't really help. It plays homage to Excitebike, but other than that, it's pretty bland. This is probably the only track I will place this low, and that is a 2 out of 10, placing it into a very low D tier, almost F. This is probably one of my favorite DLC tracks from the Wii U era, and man, the melody and instruments they use is just amazing. I love how well they capture the aesthetic of the track, and it's just so much fun to listen to while racing. This one is definitely a 9 out of 10, placing it into a very high A tier, and it almost got S. Now I know people think F-Zero tracks are overrated, but they really did a great job of bringing this music to life and really giving that crazy race feel, which is what Mario Kart is all about, crazy racing. The saxophone and the rock feel is great, and it deserves an 8 out of 10, going into the A tier. The music for this track is actually pretty nice, mainly due to how they keep transposing it up as each lap goes on, but I know the music can be so repetitive and just a slap in the face after racing on it for 7 laps. Because of this, I have to give it a 5 out of 10, going right into the C tier. This is a very groovy track, and the saxophone taking the main melody is smooth like cheese. This really showcases the funkiness of the Deluxe band, and you can tell they had fun recording this track. I believe this track deserves an 8 out of 10, slotting right into the A tier. I really love the music for Wild Woods. They made the oboe sound so good, and all the other instruments complement it so well. I really feel like I'm in a fantasy-style forest and I'm just loving all things nature. The composer really nailed it with some of the original DLC tracks, so I could proudly say that this one gets a 10 out of 10, going into S tier. Man, all of the seasons have amazing music. I really love the winter one especially. Though I know they mostly share the same melody but with some different instrumentation, but the overall vibe is just great. The Animal Crossing collab is one of my favorites and they were spot on with the music. This deserves a solid 9 out of 10, going into a high A tier. A very basic track, but with very fast, upbeat music. The passages played by these players is extremely incredible, but can become very repetitive and lackluster, meaning it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere compared to other tracks' music. Though the overall melody is a bit more memorable than others, so this one gets a 6 out of 10, placing it in the low B tier. Another Mario circuit, but a bit more funkier. I love the overall horn section with a fun bass line, but it still only sticks out to me a tiny bit more than the base game Mario circuit. So with that being said, I give this one a 7 out of 10, falling in the B tier. I really like this track, and the music makes me really feel like I'm on an island relaxing as I watch Cheep Cheeps jump out of the water. They nailed it with the tropical vibe, but there's a lot of other tracks that just stand out a tiny bit more than this one, so this will get a 7 out of 10, going in the B tier. I really just don't have much to say about this one other than it's slightly on par with base game Rainbow Road, so I have to give this one a 2 out of 10, also going in a very low D tier with Excitebike. Same thing as Bone Dry Dunes, it's true background music. They do really make you feel like you're in a desert with the instrumentations they use and the overall melody and rhythm, but it doesn't really do much besides that, so I have to give this one a 4 out of 10, placing it in the C tier. I actually really enjoy this track's music, mainly because of the insane fast lick that's played at the end. It definitely received a nice glow up both gameplay and music wise, and it's a really nice vibe overall. I have to give this one a 7 out of 10, putting it in the B tier. This track has a staple theme within the realm of Mario Kart, and this version did it justice. Every time I start grooving while racing on this track, it's because of that bass line. It's just so much fun. I feel like if this track had less live instruments, it would get a lower rating, but I can give this one a nice 7 out of 10, going in the B tier. Gosh, this track's music is so much fun, and the build up to the main melody is just so smooth, even though it has lots of drums and different rhythms. They really did Donkey Kong fans justice with this piece, and it gladly deserves an 8 out of 10, putting it in the A tier. Even though this track shares the same music as Waluigi Pinball, it's still very groovy and it does capture a stadium and a pinball machine very well. Having the call and response melody is also a huge plus and makes it even better to hum while racing. I have to give this one a 7 out of 10, going into a high B tier. Another classic from Double Dash that received an amazing glow up in both gameplay and music, and I love the instrumentations used, as well as the fun whistle part. though this music doesn't make me groove as much as Yoshi's Circuit or even Mario Stadium, so for that matter, I have to give this one a 6 out of 10, falling in the B tier. For a track based around music, I feel like they went a little too crazy and tried to add too many sounds, almost like an orchestra trying to play all different melodies at the same time. Though in the end, the inclusion of the piano and marimba sounds while racing on those parts of the track is a very nice touch, though I still think this track gets a 5 out of 10, placing it into a very high C tier. This track has an amazing theme that perfectly captures the craziness of all the different routes you can take. The banjo and the violin parts are really fun to hear, and it seems like it has more of a direction than Moo Moo Meadows. Plus it just makes you want to groove more. This one gets a solid 8 out of 10, going into the A tier. Another song that has a fun melody and includes fun sounds like, of course, clock sounds that don't overpower the overall music. Though there are tracks that have better and more complex orchestrations than this one, so with that being said, I have to give this one a 6 out of 10, going in the B tier. Man, does this track's music really have an amazing funky feel and has you on the tip of your toes the entire time. I really feel like I'm going down a slide. The horns and fun synth rhythms really mesh well, and this track deserves an 8 out of 10, going into the A tier. I kinda believe this track's music goes unnoticed. It has an amazing marimba part that just goes crazy and then comes in with a killer melody. It does great at giving both vibes of, oh crap, this volcano is gonna blow and I should run away, while also giving the vibes of, watching this volcano erupt is incredible. So I think this track deserves a 9 out of 10, putting it into a very high A tier. The first Rainbow Road to introduce the main melody that sticks throughout most other arrangements of Rainbow Road. The trumpets in this piece are incredible, and I sing along every time I race on this track. This one definitely gets an 8 out of 10, slotting into the A tier. Similar to Yoshi Valley and Moo Moo Meadows, this one has a very fun melody and enjoyable banjo parts. They really know how to make the banjo work, and they even added a slide whistle. This one I feel like has the most direction out of Moo Moo and Valley, so I have to give this one an 8 out of 10, going into the A tier. I actually really enjoyed this Rainbow Road's music. It might be somewhat simple, but the rhythms are very catchy. The arrangement overall is just very nice and does justice to the original sound. I have to give this one an 8 out of 10, placing it into the A tier because it's just too darn vibey. This music is very fun, and I like the inclusion of a counter melody / the call and response take, as well as switching between a synth and a violin for the melody. It goes well with the track having two different paths to race on, though it doesn't really give me Outpost vibes if that makes sense. With that being said, I have to give this one a 7 out of 10, going into the B tier. Other than the opening sequence with the music, it's kinda bland. They did what they wanted to do by making the Zelda theme into a jazz fusion song, but it really doesn't have anything going for it besides that. So I had to give this one a 6 out of 10, placing it into the low B tier. For a city ruled by Bowser, you would think it would be a little bit scarier sounding. Though I know it has those like neon cyberpunk buildings, but the song really doesn't have anything going for it. It's a nice melody and the instruments are fun, but it doesn't really stand out. I have to give this one a 4 out of 10, placing it in the C tier. Same thing as Neo Bowser City, it has fun instruments and a nice melody, but it just doesn't really stand out. It also seems like they're a little bit short with trying to fit that whole kids playroom vibe. I feel like some baby park elements should have been included. With that being said, I also have to give this one a 4 out of 10, putting it in the C tier. I really enjoyed this music. The melody is very nice being played by a trombone, and as a trombone player myself, I just love it. Also, the accordion playing a counter melody and filling in the gaps also just blends so nicely. I also can't forget about the amazing underground bass line. It literally slaps. I have to give this one a 9 out of 10, slotting it into the A tier because even though it sounds simple, it's very creative. Similar to Mute City, this music received an outstanding glow up. The sax and guitar combo is great and they don't sound like they're overpowering each other, and the crazy solo section is just incredible. This arrangement is slightly better than Mute City, so I have to give this one a 9 out of 10, going into the A tier. So there you have it, my rankings on all the music from the base game tracks. I hope you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment down below on what you would rank some of these tracks' music. As always, hope to see you in the next video, Wook out.